Okay, so what's the importance of calculating flash ratios relevant to ambient lighting? Now, right now I'm set in wireless flash mode on my meter, and I've set my desired sync speed or my desired sync speed to 250th of a second. Now, obviously at 250th of a second, I'm certainly letting in a lot less ambient lighting. Well, what's the importance of that? Right now, I'm going to take a measurement using some fill flash, for example. And, okay, here we have 90%. Means 90% of the light that was captured at that shot, this is me taking a meter reading, and then I would actually set my camera to match this at 250 the second at f1, which is a little low. I can't set my my lens at f1, obviously, so giving it as an example. There we go. We have it at f5. Okay, now we're at 100%. Means that regardless of the ambient lighting that I have, that at the incident or the reflected meter reading, I can take a reading off of either one, both ambient and the fill flash that I'm using, or my primary. I have 100%. Well, what's the importance of that? Well, let's take another reading and let's drop it down to where we let more ambient lighting in and hit my measure button. Okay, right now it's blinking, it's waiting. Okay, that's obviously a little low at f1.4, but I have half and half. I have 50% flash relative to 50% ambient. Where does this come into play? Well, this comes into play, for example, if I'm taking, say, an evening or a morning shot, and I don't want to wash out or drown out that beautiful lighting that I have. This is something that no camera can do. You can take a look at the chimp on the back of your camera, obviously after taking the shot, but you still really can't see it. You're only looking at a JPEG image, not the actual RAW file that you're hopefully capturing. So I can actually leave it like this without hitting any buttons, and you can see my percentages change. So I've gone from 90% to 100%. I can actually change this by either moving my flash or my studio strobe, or increasing or decreasing the power. Obviously 60%, 60%, 50%, 100%. Okay, means I'm either too powerful or too close. That means that evening light, for example, if I'm throwing this speed light illumination or the studio strobe illumination on the model or the product, whatever it may be, that no matter how beautiful the lighting or the contrast ratios that are falling on the subject, I'm dominating every bit of my ambient lighting with 100% of my fill flash or my studio strobe. Okay, I'm going to back it off on the power or the distance, and now I'm at 60%. Okay, f1.4, 50%. So maybe that's even a bit too much, so I'm going to drop my time down to 30th of a second. It's not an issue if you're doing a model shot on a tripod. I'm going to hit my measure button again. Now it's going to wait. Okay. So I'm at 40% now, 50%, 100% at f7, 70% at f2. That's about the ratio that I want between my ambient without losing my ambient glow, and I still have sufficient lighting, the beautiful contrast lighting and rim lighting, for example, of the sunrise or the sunset. Okay. A little too slow. Now I want to do some handheld stuff. Obviously 30 seconds is a bit too much. I don't want to bring it up to 250, but I'm going to change my time. This is why for doing speed light and studio strobe measurements, you are in time priority. You're in shutter priority. Instead of aperture priority, you have a choice between aperture priority and shutter priority or time priority. in ambient metering mode, either incidence or reflectance. And now I'm going to take a reading. Take a reading here at 1/125th of a second. Okay, f1.4. That's exactly what I want. I'm going to use a 50 millimeter f1.4, for example. Okay, at 125th of a second, I am at 80% of my flash. If I were to drop it down to 60th of a second, I would be at 70%. Drop it down to 40, 60 also. Drop it down to 25th of a second, be f1.8 and 50/50. What you can do with this, when you can't do this with any camera, is that I can actually calculate what my ratios are, whether I'm actually blasting the hell. This is all correct exposure, but this is telling you something in addition to correct exposure. So I can only determine what my correct exposure is, but how much and at what percentage I'm drowning out the ambient light. Let's say the ambient light sucks. This is also another premise. I need to discuss this. Point number one in this video is that I didn't want to drown out my beautiful orange glow that I was getting from sunrise or sunset on a model's face, for example. Also important, let's say I've got a beautiful composition, but it's indoors, and I'm under some really, really crappy tungsten lighting. Well, I'm going to bump up my shutter speed to 250th of a second, and that way, by raising my shutter speed, I am drowning my ambience. I got some crappy orange lighting underneath this hot model. Now my composition indoors is beautiful. Okay, right. But I don't like that crappy, okay, well, you can adjust the white balance and light. Yeah, how about I don't do that? How about I don't piss a bunch of time away in Lightroom? How about I actually drowned out that crappy orange or green fluorescent tungsten, those flickering light bulbs that you always see like in a hallway or in a stairway, and it feels like it's sucking your brain out the side of your ear. It's like, I want to destroy that light. Yep, that's exactly what I want to do. I'm going to blast the hell out of it. No, need more power. Need to hit my metering button since I changed my shutter speed. Excuse me. There we go. By upping my shutter speed, I've got a lot of latitude. I'm at 80%. That's not enough. I want to drown it all out. There we go. There we go. 100%. At 100%. Still at 100%, 1/200th of a second. Now, even though I got the model in the stairway, for example, it's a gorgeous stairway, but there's crappy tungsten lighting. I don't want none of that lighting entering my picture, even though I can screw around with it in Lightroom. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to up my shutter speed to destroy my ambient lighting. Then I'm going to increase the power or change distance on my studio strobe or speed light so that I have 100% of my lighting coming from my speed light. Yeah, that fixes the problem. Now, this is where you dominate the light. When you start understanding that, and your camera cannot do this. I don't care if you got a Sony, a Nikon, a Fuji, a Canon. Your camera cannot do this, boy. It definitely cannot. So that is the reason. I've been asked this question quite a bit recently. It's like, well, what do I need to know ratios between ambient and flash or ambient and strobe? This is the reason. I either want to retain it, such as ambient beautiful lighting in the morning or evening, or I want to destroy it. I want to dominate it. I want to completely eliminate it by upping my shutter speed. Trying to hold the camera with one hand and do this with the other hand. Upping my shutter speed, destroying the ambient, and letting my flash dominate that crappy tungsten, that crappy fluorescent light. So this is the reason for that. And your camera cannot get here. No, it cannot. This is one of the many reasons that professionals on the light meter say, well, this is an extra piece of equipment. It takes up time. No, this saves you time. This saves you money. This saves you issues of screwing around the Lightroom afterwards in the evening. Okay? I'm glad I could clear that up. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. Bye.